Welcome to Wisdom Journey, the podcast where we explore the path of building an online business from the ground up. Here, I share my wins, struggles, lessons, and experiments so you can learn, adapt, and grow alongside me. I also interview experts in their respective field. Whether you're just starting out or looking for new strategies to scale, this is your space to find inspiration and practical wisdom. I'm your host, Wisdom Okonkwo, and I'm excited to take you on today's journey. What if I told you that AI won't replace you unless you ignore today's guest? Joining us today is CJ Powers, a communication strategist and creative thinker who has been working with AI for over 12 years, long before most people knew it existed. He's the creator of the 3Cs framework: communication, connection, and collaboration, a system designed to help leaders stay irreplaceably human in an AI-driven world. CJ works speak for itself, from helping Michael Jordan sell his yacht using AI-powered storytelling to helping a global medical device company shrink a 14-hour reporting process down to just 4 minutes. He's shown that AI isn't about replacing humans, it's about amplifying what makes us human. Today we welcome to the podcast, CJ.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, you've been working with AI for over a decade, long before most persons knew what AI was. What initially drew you into the world of AI?
You know, I was doing some writing for a company, and they really needed help to try to do things a lot quicker. Well, you can only write so fast. So I thought, there's got to be a solution here. And that's when I first stumbled onto AI. I realized that if I used AI and I guided it properly, I could still do my writing, my style, but at the same time, I could do it 10 to 20 times faster. And suddenly, I was so fast that they were like, "How'd you do it?" So my experience with AI was born.
How has your perspective evolved over time? It's 12 years, before with the trends and what's happening right now.
Well, one of the things that I have found is that there's a lot of people who, um, I'll say they're afraid of AI. They're afraid of it taking over their job. They're afraid of it blocking them from getting a new first-time job if they're a kid right now, and they're thinking about, gee, when I get out of school, am I going to be able to have a job or not? There's a lot of fear there. I kind of equate it to, AI being a car that's going really, really fast. And our choice is you can either be in the driver's seat driving, or you can be the guy tied to the bumper being dragged along with the rope. So we need to be able to consider the fact that AI is here to stay. AI is a tool, though. It's no more than a tool. Some people think it's a god. Some people think it's all kinds of things, but it's just a tool.
Yeah.
So because it's a tool, if we develop our skills, we can then do things 10 times, 20 times, 30 times faster than normal.
You just talked about being and staying irreplaceably human. I'm curious, what exactly does that mean in an age where machines can write, speak, even sing in ways that kind of mimic us?
Yeah, being irreplaceably human means that we need to focus our skills on developing what I call our soft skills. Those are the skills that allow us to properly communicate, to connect, and to collaborate. The concept of communication, connection, and collaboration are all tied together in a way that AI cannot replicate it. So a person is always needed in a job position as long as their skills are high in those areas. As far as the actual duties, what steps to take and so on, you can use AI to advance yourself that way. That's fine. But AI can't replace us. We have too many things that we can do. For instance, AI is really good at knowledge. It can come up with data very rapidly. The problem is it can't tell the difference between right and wrong, or good data or bad data. It just knows data, and it has lots of data and access to it really, really quickly. We, on the other hand, have access to wisdom. We have, I know it's good to tie in with your name, right? We have access to world experiences. We have access to feelings and emotions and empathy. We have access to a whole slew of things that it doesn't have. So I think, the key here would be for us to take a little bit of time to focus in on, aspects of communication, connection, and collaboration. What do you think? Should we head that direction, or do you want to stay more
please
technical?
do.
Okay.
Please do. Yeah.
So for communication, the key to communication is really, really looking in on three aspects. You want to clarify, you want to simplify, and you want to amplify. Now, clarify means that we really know exactly what it is that we want to say. We want to clarify our message so it's very specific. We don't want it convoluted. We don't want it so complex that people can't understand us. We want it incredibly clear that if I'm talking about ABC, that we are talking about ABC. It's not to be confused with XYZ. The next step is to simplify our language. We want to maybe simplify the words that we use. So for instance, I have a very high level of vocabulary. I have so many words in my head that I could make your head spin. But the key is I need to try to choose words that a lot of people can understand. And the reason is today, we're a global marketplace today. We speak. I have people that follow me online in 144 countries.
Wow.
And a friend of mine has 166 countries following him. So we're in a different world. You need to maybe, instead of me speaking at the master's level, I need to try to speak more at like the 6th grade level, because people that have English as a second language or a third language, their vocabulary is not going to be as big, and they'll only understand what I'm trying to say if I set my vocabulary to something that they already know. The next step is to amplify. And amplifying, there's two aspects to amplifying your message. One is to make sure it's actually getting out there and people are hearing it and understanding it. The other aspect is to amplify what's on your heart. Be very genuine. I'm a kind of guy that I like to, for whatever reason, I'm not sure why I do this, but I like to goof around sometimes when I'm talking. So if I want to pretend that as I'm talking, a bike goes past me and the guy rings its bell, I can do that. Or maybe there's a dog barking in the background.
Yeah.
My personality allows for that. So as a result, I need to bring that to the table, because AI doesn't have personalities. It only has what it's programmed to do. So with AI, of course, you can program it to have maybe a English accent or an Australian accent, or, whatever it might be. But for us, we want to go beyond the accent, and we want to make sure who we are as a person genuinely comes across. So the communication part of it, is really all about clarifying, simplifying, and amplifying our message.
Getting clear on what the message is.
Yeah. If you're ready, I can move on to connection.
Okay.
Unless you had some other questions.
Amplify is to bring out what's the word? Clarify is to make it clear. Simplify is to make it simple. Amplify is to
really there's two kinds of amplifying. You can amplify what's on your heart to say.
Okay.
So that you can really speak from your passion. The other is to amplify what you say to get it out to the world.
Okay.
To increase the amount of frequency and reach that you have with the things you say. Like this podcast. I don't know how many countries listen to your podcast, but the odds are good that the longer you do your podcast, the more countries pick it up and enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, okay. Makes sense then.
Yeah.
Proceed.
All right, so let's talk about connection for a moment. Connection is that relationship part of us, that makes us human to connect with each other. And for connection, we really need to engage each other. We need to find a way to relate to each other. And then we need to build that relationship. We need to do it in a way where, we really get to know the person a little bit better each time we connect. So for engaging, one of the things that helps with engaging is that we need to bring a little bit of entertainment value. Now whether or not you want the entertainment value to be, you being
That's
goofy like me,
yeah.
or if you want the entertainment value to just be uh an aha moment that you're talking about, or you bring up something that someone hasn't ever really seen before or heard before. Those things are entertaining when people experience something new and fresh. I don't know what kind of a background you have, but usually when you're in a group of people that all seem like they're the same, it gets a little boring. But if there's somebody that has a little drama in their life, or maybe there's somebody that has traveled somewhere you've never considered going or whatever, it's always refreshing to bring that unique perspective to the table. So then we have to relate. Once we've connected with those people, we have to relate to them. There's got to be something that's similar. Now, you and I automatically have uh, something we can relate to. We both have done podcasts, right? So there's something there that we could easily talk about to each other. And then as we share that conversation, we can slowly expand it, and we can talk about, the kind of life that you live versus the kind of life that I live, and, what kind of friendships you develop and what kind of friendships I develop. For instance, one country that I visited, and I've been to about 27 countries where I've spoken. And I don't mean on podcasts, I mean in person.
uh,
Podcasts, it's been far more than that. But in one place that I went, the customs of the people and the way they look at things were so very, very different than me. And it was like, okay, when I say to somebody, for instance, that I'm from Chicago, some people immediately think gangsters and people shooting up the town with guns and, things like that. And while there are certain areas where that does happen, there's also a lot of areas that are beautiful and are relaxing and are safe. So just by saying Chicago, sometimes you just get this image in your head based on what you've seen in the movies or on TV. So as I try and relate to people, I can introduce, the factors that are actually different than what they expect, so that they can understand what truly things, how it truly comes about. And then as far as building a relationship goes, if it's an international relationship, a lot of times, it's nice to stay in touch through email, or it's nice to connect up on, like a Zoom call, or, whatever kind of software you use to connect from time to time. And that's a good way to build a relationship. I have one friend who literally travels to about 25 countries every year. His goal is to, I think he said he wanted to get to like 250 countries within the next 10 years. So that's a lot of travel. I don't think I could handle that. But by just sharing that kind of thing where we're connecting on an area.
Hey, quick break. Before we continue, I'd love for you to join the Wisdom Journey newsletter. Every week, I share exclusive insights, tools, and behind-the-scenes updates to help you stay ahead in your own journey of building an online business. It's simple, practical, and built to help you grow. Sign up today for free at the link in the description. Now, let's get back to the episode.
Not of my expertise and not really of his expertise, although he's becoming an expert since he's traveled so far. When you start to build that and actually work on the relationship, all of that really solidifies and makes a strong connection. Yeah. You want me to dive into that right away?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, collaboration is probably the hardest one to explain from the personal standpoint, but it's really easy from a business perspective. It does work personally. The first thing is that we have to align what we're doing with the other person to some extent, so we're on the same page, so that we are starting to believe the same thing as far as the direction that we're headed in. We need to then find something to act on together, where we're kind of divvying up, where you do certain parts of it, I'll do certain parts of it, and together, we end up with the whole. And then we should have a goal set of some sort that we actually want to accomplish or achieve. So in the business world, maybe we want to do a collaboration where your company and my company work together on a special project, and we release a special summit or conference or something that's about how to use AI in your daily life, something like that. If we were to do that, we would have to both decide, okay, what kind of speakers do we want to bring in, and what kind of information do we want to get across? We need to be aligned in that way. And then we need to decide how are we going to act on this thing. Let's set up a calendar. Let's figure out when the event's going to be, how we're going to pull it together. All of those different actions. You get your list of, actions. I get my list of actions.
Yeah.
And we go after it. And then we have the goal of actually putting it on. So when the day comes, we now have the summit or the event is launched, and everything works out great. And everyone's like, wow, you guys did a great job. So there's an achievement. Now, that same kind of thing can happen in a personal setting. Maybe, Junior wants to become a drummer.
Yeah.
So he needs to align with somebody who has a band, so he can be a drummer in that band or orchestra or jazz group or rock band or whatever it might be. And he needs to figure out what venues he can go to, where can he play music. And he's got to set up some dates and practice some music. He's got to take a lot of different actions. And then finally, the achievement is going to be playing at the concert in town. And voila, now he's collaborated with whoever the people are that will be able to bring this about and make it happen. So those kinds of things require a lot of communication. It requires us to connect with each other. And then as a result, we can do things together that frankly, AI can never do. So as long as we're focused on the human side of who we are, AI will never replace us.
So these are 3 C's. They help us leverage the human parts of what makes us human.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Communication, connection, and collaboration. AI can sort of help us with it, but it can never replace us with it. For instance, AI can pretend to act like someone that's empathetic, someone who's concerned for you, who knows how to turn worry into care, but it's not real. It's only mimicking what it's seen before. Where we as people, as I'm talking with you or getting to know you, if I can sense that, you're kind of acting like you've got an issue going on. What's happening in life? Tell me about it. And we start talking, and I say, oh, well, can I help you by doing such and such for you? And you're like, oh, wow. Yeah, CJ, that would help. Well, that kind of connection, that empathy, that caring, a machine can never do, because it's just a machine. And people think it's more than that because it can deal with data really, really fast. It can do formulas really, really fast. It can do math really, really fast. There's lots of things it can do fast. And whenever there's something that can be tactical fast, a lot of times we attribute intelligence to it. But it's not intelligent. It's just regurgitating data. If the data is false, everything it's doing is wrong.
Yeah.
But
At
being
the
human, we can tell if something is not right.
Yeah, at the beginning of the episode, you showed us a picture of, a guy in the driver's seat in the car, and then another guy tied to the car. And a lot of persons are always talking about AI replace, but I want us to look at how can we actually live, because this technology it has a lot of leverage. How can we actually, you know, tap into this technology and use it, and to do faster work, work that would require probably maybe 1,000-person team. You can do it with 5 persons together. Work that require 14 hours, you can do it, in 20-30 minutes, and still do great job and still reach out to people and drop the message out there.
Yeah, and that's a great question. I'm not sure the easiest way to answer it, but I'll start out by saying
Okay.
most everybody today has a mobile phone. And of course, not everybody, but it's becoming more and more prolific. It's becoming something that almost everybody has. In the mobile phone, I have an iPhone, and in my iPhone, I have a screen with lots and lots of apps. And then I can swipe to the left and there's more apps. And then I can swipe to the left and there's more apps. And I can swipe to the left and there's more. It's just loaded with, I have way too many apps on my phone. Well, with AI, I had AI change my phone based on where I'm at.
Okay.
So if I head to the gym, because here we have lots of gyms where you do your exercise, because we don't exercise outdoors a lot because it gets really cold in the winter here.
Yeah.
We get lots of snow and that kind of thing. So we exercise indoors more than outdoors. When we go to the gym, my phone automatically changes because it knows where I'm located. And I only have 4 apps on my phone when I get to the gym. And those are exercise apps or a stopwatch app, things that I use for working out. Now, when I leave the gym, my phone jumps over to business stuff because it knows I go to work after the gym. And now I have 6 apps on my phone. I have communication apps. I have business reporting apps. Whatever kind of things I use for work, those apps show up. And then when I head home, my apps change again. And now I have more entertainment-oriented apps. And, all this to say that my email shows up on all of the versions. But no matter where I go, I've instructed AI to change my screen. So instead of me flipping through hundreds of apps, I only have the apps I need in the moment I need it. And it literally changes my phone each time based on where I'm located. So that's one of the easy ways to use AI to benefit you. I don't have to waste my time hunting for the app, depending on where I'm at. Like if I'm going out to a restaurant, guess what? My screen changes on my phone and I just have restaurants listed. So that's the way to do it. Take advantage of AI by streamlining your life. Another thing that I do is I get about 400 emails a day, and that's too many. I mean, think about it. If I take a minute for each email, that's 400 minutes of my day. So I can't do it that way. So what I do is I have AI look at my emails, figure out which ones are the most important based on my criteria, based on the things that I want to accomplish in life. And it will list out the important emails first, and then the next important, and then the next important. And if it's just a bunch of ads or things like that, it puts it way down at the bottom of the list, and it logs it in a way where I can take a quick glance at the list, see if there's anything there that I want to look at, and then I hit the delete button. So email is a great way to control your environment. I also use AI to turn on my lights in my house. So when I walk into certain rooms, the lights come on. When I want to go to bed, it knows exactly what time I need to go to bed. So the lights start to dim. And then when it's time for me to actually go to bed, the lights will turn off. So I know that sounds silly for some people, but it just makes my life much easier and faster. There's something about when you wake up early in the morning and it's dark outside, and instead of you having to hunt for the light and feel your way around the room in the dark to the light switch. I just tell AI to turn on the light and it does. So there's lots of ways of taking advantage of AI. One of the things that I like to do is if I'm going to write something, I like to explain to AI exactly what it is that I'm working on and why I'm working on it, the context of it, what I'm trying to accomplish by it, all that type of stuff. And then I'll ask it to do a first draft based on my criteria. And it'll write the first draft in 2 seconds. And it's usually 80% close to what I'm looking for. And then I can go in and just, retype it based on, the things that I need to tweak or make sure it is in my voice or whatever. But even AI now knows my voice. I've written since I've been using AI, I've written probably over 8 million words. So it knows my style. It knows my writing style and the different kinds of writing I do, since I write fiction as well as nonfiction.
Yeah.
And based on what I'm doing, it can come really close to sounding like me. And then again, I can tweak it. So as long as I give it very specific information and information that it can use from a conversational standpoint, it works out really well. If you don't know how to use conversation for its instructions and information, then it doesn't work very well at all. So
One of the things you did is you built an automation system for a global medical company that transformed a 14-hour process into minutes, like about 4 minutes, right? What was your approach and what human principle guided that innovation?
So that company had a lot of strict rules as far as what information could be used, and they had their own specific AI they developed for their business. So it didn't reach out to the world and look for data out there. It only looked at its own data. So the criteria that I had to build it, they needed it to work in Excel, Microsoft Excel's spreadsheet program. And Excel has its own language. It's called VBA. And VBA is a really, really great tool because instead of having to type in all kinds of formulas in different cells of the spreadsheet, you can just use VBA to do it all for you, and nothing has to be in the cells because it's all running behind the scenes. So they used a special version of AI Copilot in their company that only looked at their company's data and nobody else's.
Yeah.
And it would not retain the information, but it could think through the information. So I was allowed to use that to write the programming that went into the VBA programming, which created all the stuff. So I started out by looking at their process, and their process had about 700 steps to it. And 700 steps, no wonder it took 14 hours to go through. That was a lot of steps. And I noticed that a lot of their steps, instead of saying what they were looking for, they kept on removing what wasn't needed. And when you write a program based on what you want versus what you don't want, it works very, very differently. So their entire thing was by chipping away what they didn't want, and what was resulted was what they wanted. I said, let's create what we want, and we don't have to worry about what we don't want because we'll only get what we want. So I rewrote the program that way using AI. AI was for the sake of speed. So the program, if I didn't use AI, the program would have taken us probably 1.5 years to write. It was that complex. But it only took us 3 months to write it with AI. And today, because AI has been upgraded since that, because that was about 1.5 years ago, today AI, I could probably do it with AI in a month today because of all the changes that AI has seen. So they were receiving, at the end of the 4 months, they had a really thick stack of, this report was about 300 pages long. I don't remember the exact page count, but it was significantly big.
Yeah.
And then they sent it off to, I think it was like 140 countries or 120 countries, something like that, where everybody got their own information. But everyone had to go through that stack of 300 pages to find the information for them.
Yeah.
So I said, that's not good. Let's pull out the information that's pertinent for each of those people. Let's send a separate email to each person instead of a global email to everybody.
Yeah.
Let's send an individual email and let's have it have one page on it just with their information only and no one else's.
Yeah.
And they were like, wow, can you do that? Yeah, with AI, of course you can. So we programmed it where they pushed a button. It automatically created emails with certain content in it. It automatically created a report and turned it into a PDF file and attached it to the email. And then it
Oh,
automatically sent it out to all the people. So within a matter of seconds, everybody got a single page with all their information on it, and they didn't have to worry about any of the hundreds of other pages at all. It turned out that it saved each person that received the report, it saved them 2 hours a week.
oh,
And instead of course, it taking 14 hours to create that big, massive report, now it only took 4 minutes because of the automation. So
yeah.
they saved about $1.2 million a year
Wow.
because of the programming.
Oh, well, that's I love the way you went through the process. Instead of before getting into the tools, you ask yourself, what do you actually want? And then once you get that, you can say, okay, how do we use the tools to build that?
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, one of the things that a lot of people wonder about with AI, um, we have a chart here that talks about, are you going to use AI as a tool, or are you going to build an AI agent, or are you going to do automation with it?
Okay.
And with this, the key is that each one has a reason for existing. So for instance, if you want clarity or insight, or you want you want to create some kind of content, if you ask yourself, do you need help thinking or clarifying, using AI as a tool is really the way to go. If you need it to actually execute workflows or build workflows, you can ask yourself, do you need something to take action for you? Instead of you doing something, you want the machine to do it all. Then you need an AI agent. So you have to build an agent. If you just have something that has a lot of repetition and rules and repetition, then you can ask yourself, is the task always the same with clear rules? If so, then you can automate. And automation can either be tying in with, like I did with the one company with the spreadsheet, or it could be, well, automation can be lots of different things. Whenever there's a form of repetition, then, that's really, really the key.
Well, I love this guy. Like a lot of persons, they just use AI as a tool, right? They're not using the automation. They're not doing the agent part, and I feel like they're just leaving a lot on the table. Wow, this is such a
Right.
way to think of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you just ask yourself those 3 questions, you'll know exactly which way to use AI. And that totally changes your approach and what you're doing. And one of the ways I kind of simplified is if I need to brainstorm, I can use AI as a tool. If I need action taken because I don't have enough time in the day, so I need AI to do it for me, I need to build an AI agent. And if there's something I'm doing where I just did it the exact same way the last time, once I get to the 3rd time where I'm doing it the exact same way all the time, if I'm doing it the same way all the time, I don't need to do it at all. I can have AI automate it and let
Oh,
AI do that task.
yeah.
And
I love for us to like use an example to like drill it down, right? Let's say I have a news website where I compile contests from all over the web, right? So let's say for in a particular niche, right? Scholarship opportunities, graduate scholarship, master scholarship, stuff like that, and then it rewrites it and post it on the blog so that people can read it. In such a scenario, what would I use? Okay, no problem. I said if I had a blog, right? And one of the things I
uh-huh.
wanted to do was go through the news, look for contests for students, like scholarships, undergraduate, master scholarships, and then write it and publish it on a WordPress blog, something like that, right? Have it just go through it because it doesn't really require that much creative expression because what you're simply doing is if if let's say Chevron, right, was doing scholarship and they post about it on their site, you just want to write it and put the requirements and put it on your site so people can have your site be a central place to see all the contests, because it's not like it's not a thought write-up that you need to like put so much thought into it. What would we use in such a scenario?
Yeah, so you're going to use AI for the sake of creating content. So you're going to use AI as a tool. You don't need an agent built, and you don't need, to create automation, unless
Okay.
unless
What if we wanted to do in the
you want
background?
to do this over and over and over again. But
Exactly.
if you're just doing one article,
Yeah.
then you can use it just for content. So I use it as a tool. So I would go to AI and I would basically say, I'm writing a blog. It's going to be between 800 and 1,000 words or whatever it is. Maybe it's 500 words. Maybe it's 2,000 words, whatever you want to do. And it is going to be about, here's what it's about. Here's why I'm doing it and what I hope to accomplish for the sake of my audience by that. So the context is very important so that it understands what you're trying to achieve. And then you say, now to do this, we need to research, all the different contests or grant programs or scholarship programs that are available for people in this area. Now, unfortunately, that means the list is going to be super, super, super long. So you don't want that in a blog post. Instead, you're going to say, build a PDF for me of all of them. And then in my blog, I'm going to highlight the top 10. And then I'm going to offer a free PDF for anybody that gives me their email address. I can send it to them. So that's what you'd want to do. And you can talk about style. You can talk about voice. You can say, the kind of tone, I want this to sound professional, but I also want it to sound approachable. I want that kind of a tone in the writing.
Yeah.
And go after it, go for it. And then it takes a few seconds and it gives you the first draft and you can see how close it is to what you actually want. And it will ask you, now, do you want me to create the PDF for you of the 300-page list of all the different possibilities? It will probably take 10 minutes to look and search for all of those different sources and put in the information as far as the dates and the deadlines and what has to be submitted and all that kind of information. So that's a significant amount of work. So it might take 5 to 10 minutes for the AI to actually create that for you. But then you'll end up with a PDF that you can either attach to your website or you can ask people for their email so you can email it to them, whichever way you want to do it.
Thank you so much for breaking that down. If you could give one piece of advice to someone who feels overwhelmed by all the AI news and everything, what would it be?
AI is moving faster than we can catch up. So my advice is that start getting involved with AI now so you can learn how to use it properly. Know fully well that 6 months from now, the way you do things with AI will be different than you do today. For instance, a couple of years ago when you first started hearing about AI, everyone said, oh, you have to understand how to prompt it. Well, that's not true anymore. You don't have to understand how to prompt it. Now you have to understand how to talk to it in a conversational manner about your topic.
Yeah.
So AI is literally changing so fast that people are still trying to teach you how to prompt when that isn't important anymore.
Yeah.
What's important now is context and your goals and what you're trying to achieve with it and how you want it done and that kind of stuff, which is just conversation. And as you know, on some people that have phones, like I have an iPhone, when I use my iPhone, I can push a button on my AI and I can just talk to it and it will talk back to me. And, I have it use the English accent for talking to me because it sounds smart.
I use the Santa Claus voice.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. CJ, this has been incredibly insightful. For listeners who want to keep learning from you and dive deeper into your work, Where can they find you online?
My blog is probably where most people like to go first. That's cjpowersonline.com. So cjpowersonline.com. If they want to find out other things about me, I have cjpowers.info. I've also created a new website since I'm an author. I've put some of my books up there so people can learn a little bit about what I write, and that's authorcjpowers.com.
Thank you so much, CJ. I'll put the links in the description and the show notes so listeners can click and go directly to the site. Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. And
Yeah,
I appreciate being on the show, man. I really,
my
really have
pleasure.
enjoyed being here.
Thanks for tuning into Wisdom Journey. I hope today's episode gave you practical steps and fresh ideas to keep moving forward. If you found value, be sure to subscribe and share this podcast with a fellow creator or entrepreneur who'd love to learn too. And don't forget to sign up for the newsletter and the link in the description for more resources, experiments, and lessons straight to your inbox. Until next time, keep building, keep learning, and keep walking your own wisdom journey. Yeah.